Here's what happened. You're putting in the effort, the time, the energy into your business, and you aren't seeing the results that you want. So you can start to go down these tornado thoughts that happen of getting really pissed off, frustrated at yourself. The doubt can creep in, this uncertainty of, is this actually going to work out or not? Or am I really able to handle this growth that's happening in the business? Whatever it is for these results that you are wanting, the way that you can move faster towards those results, I've realized, is being able to let go of building the resentment that can come up. Because that could be something that you're noticing right now is you could have resentment either to yourself, to not be able to, it can feel like you're the bottleneck as your business is growing and you're getting really frustrated at yourself, or it could be with the business where you aren't seeing the results externally, if that's the results of certain revenue you want in a month or how many people you want to be able to serve and support because you care so much deeply about this work and wanting to create an impact on the people that you're able to serve. So you're not seeing those fast enough. And that's where the resentment can build. But whatever it is, I want to share with you questions to reflect on and dive a little bit deeper, or actually a lot deeper into this to understand what are the beliefs right now that are in the driver's seat of your life that is causing this resentment to be building right now for you. This is Make Burnout Extinct. I'm Robert David Weeks. Thank you for being here. Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. If you haven't done it yet, you can subscribe and follow the show for the latest episodes. I get excited for this commitment I've made through this show of sharing with you what it really takes to make burnout extinct. This is based off of my own personal experience of hitting burnout back in 2018 after the social media conference I founded, where 500 people came together. For me, with making burnout extinct, it's first defining what burnout is. That is how I define it, a major life transition that is forced on you by your body. Meaning in the context of business, how you can think about it is having, or feel into it, is having to let go of the business or close down the business because you can't handle for the capacity within your body to handle either the challenges that are happening in the business or the growth that's happening. Both of those can be making you feel stressed. And then over time, that leads to the chronic stress. And then that can take you towards a one-way ticket to hitting burnout. And so with making burnout extinct, it's about realizing that you can feel more energized than drained in your life. That is the simplest way I can answer for how you make burnout extinct, is to feel more energized. Making burnout extinct is being able to remember that business is just one part of your life, this extraordinary life that you have. Making burnout extinct is remembering that you can be satisfied in the effort that you put out today for working on this business, but also realize that you're capable of more. Ultimately, it comes back to this limitless potential that is within you. And it's helping you to unlock and tap into that limitless potential to be able to move towards what it is you want, bringing that into reality. And so this commitment I have for you is letting you know that it is possible for you to make burnout extinct. And it does come with hard work, having to listen to your body. I think one of the most important skills an entrepreneur can master is communication with their body, because your body's constantly communicating with you. It's up to you to listen to what that signal is sharing with you for the message, and then adapting on a habit level, and then even deeper than that on a belief system level. So I get excited to dive into it for today. Let's jump in. Today, what I want to talk about is how to move through this buildup of resistance or not resistance, but resentment that can be causing you to feel resistant towards moving faster to the results that you want, either internally or externally. But then with this resentment that's building up right now, it's asking yourself a few questions I want to get into for you to reflect on. And then even deeper than that, understanding what's going on for your habits and then the belief system as well. And then I come back to even my own experience with resentment, where it built up a lot and I had to face it, because it's so important to face that resentment rather than try to avoid it, ignore it, because it just will constantly keep building through my own personal experience. So when I moved back in with my parents after my burnout, I had a lot of resentment that was built up over the years with stupid shit that I did. Thinking back to when I first started my business as a DJ over a decade ago, there was a lot of years of partying and lying that I was doing, and I lied a lot even leading up to my burnout after that social media conference. And so I had this resentment that was actually built towards myself of like, dude, I can't believe you got to this point where you're having to move back in with your parents as a late 20, in your late 20s. And so it was having to face that so it didn't continue to build, because that can take me down the tornado thoughts of, man, like what's wrong with you? You can't stick with anything. And that is not helpful. I've noticed for me, where I go down that tornado thoughts, and then I can feel really depressed and I just stay stuck in that. It's not helpful. So for me, it was having to face that, honor that this is where I'm at, and then it comes back to where you start isn't going to be where you end up. As you go through this process, you're going to have to put in the hard work, but then over time, things can start to change for your life, and then for the business, for other areas of life too, like your health and fitness and relationships. So to kick it off, I want to share with you the Truth Anchor technique. This Truth Anchor technique, if you've heard about it before, you know what to expect, you know the drill. If you haven't, this is to help you to figure out what is going to resonate for you. So what it is saying your name 3 times and noticing where you feel the vibration of your voice, because that's a truthful statement. And so you can resonate with where that feeling comes up in the body. And this goes back to your body's constantly communicating with you. So it's such a powerful signal to help you to navigate all the shoulds that can happen for you from a lot of people. Like, you should try this strategy, or should try this habit, or should go to this event, or you should go connect with this community. But you want to make sure you're filtering all that through what resonates for you, because that can help to avoid wasting a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy. So if you like, depending on what you got going on right now, as you're listening to this, you can put a hand on your chest, hand on the stomach. That really helps me. And then you're going to repeat your name 3 times. So my name is Robert David. My name is Robert David. My name is Robert David. Where I notice that is for the voice is in my chest. And then now what you can do, we're going to actually wiggle our toes. You can wiggle your toes, bring the awareness up the legs, calves, thighs, stomach, chest. Raise your arms up if you can. And then just swipe that energy out like a dating app. Swipe left, get that energy out. And then now you're going to repeat a name that you made up for yourself 3 times by saying, my name is. I'm going to use Fred as this example. So again, put a hand on stomach, chest. Here we go. My name is Fred. My name is Fred. My name is Fred. Where I notice that for the voice vibration is in my mouth, and then even throat. Sometimes for me, I can experience it out of my body, where it's like behind my head. And if this is your first time doing something like this, I know it can feel weird. Like, oh, let me figure out where my vibration for my voice resonates. But it comes back to the nearly 40 trillion cells of your body is there to take care of you, is my belief. I used to always think I was in battle with my body, but it's recognizing that the battle comes with this battle with the burnout beast, is what I call it, where the weapon of choice for the burnout beast is that chronic stress. And so if I can remind myself that my body's on my team and it's there to take care of me and help me to go more towards what it is I want for bringing that into my reality, then I can notice better those signals. And that's where that trust can build. So I know it can feel weird again for the first time, but it's continuing to put in the repetitions for this and noticing what happens in your life. So if you weren't able to notice where the vibration was, you can repeat this a few times to help yourself out with connecting back to where that resonates in the body. So now to move forward, it's reflecting on these 3 questions, giving yourself that space and the time to dive deeper into understanding what is coming up for you with this buildup of resentment. Like, what specifically is happening? as you're working on your business where you feel this resentment, either to yourself that could be coming up, so I get you, or it could be towards the business where you're like, damn, these results aren't happening fast enough. And it's remembering that this does take time. So depending, you got to also put in the context of like, how long have you been working on your business, or how long have you created that new strategy and implemented it so that you're focused on growing your business. Like, give yourself grace here and recognize, okay, if it's just been a few days, well, that makes sense for why you may not be seeing those results come in fast enough, because it comes back to first the internal changes have to happen. And then from there, there's a delay that happens for the external results. And you think about that, implementing a new strategy, taking the time to make sure that it's set up and ready to give you the results that you're wanting. And then those external results happen for the business. So that's how you can remember this too, to help you out for giving yourself some grace. But here we go for the 3 questions to reflect on. What I want you to do for each one of these questions is noticing where you, well, not noticing where, because that's actually one of the questions, but it's coming back to what is a specific situation that's happened for you this past few days or even today where you have felt this resentment coming up and notice resistance in your body. You're feeling stuck. What is that specific situation? And give yourself just that space to be able to bring that into awareness. And what we can do together is you're going to take a deep inhale through the nose, exhale it out through the mouth, get settled in the space. So together, deep inhale, and then release. Okay, release that out. Because life happens really fast at times. And so this is to help slow that down so that you can give yourself these new insights, new perspectives as you're facing this situation. So the first question I have for you is, where am I holding resentment right now? So asking yourself that, where am I holding resentment right now in my business or to myself? And it could be related to relationships, it could be related to your health for yourself. And what we can do together is actually going to bring the awareness back down to the toes. So you can wiggle the toes. This is a great reset for being able to bring your awareness back to your body. Then bring up your awareness to your calves, to your legs, stomach, chest. And where do you feel pressure? Where does that come up for you as you're feeling back into this situation that is causing you to have this buildup of resentment? Coming on up, you can raise your arms up, chest, head, but yawn, and then swipe that energy to the left. Get that out of here. So where did that come up for you in the body? Because that can help you with this pressure of addressing what the signal means for the message that's coming through. Next question to reflect on is, what is the actual price that I'm paying to hold on to this resentment? What's the trade-off right now of focusing on this buildup of resentment that's happening? What is that doing for either the business or for my life? Is there any way this is supporting my life? Or is this just wasting my time or my energy or even my money? Okay, let's bring that awareness back down to the toes. Wiggle the toes. Bring your awareness up the calves, inner thighs, stomach, chest. Raise your arms up. And then swipe that energy out to the left. Get that out of here. Last question. If you released this resentment today, what would be possible for you this upcoming week? What you may feel right now is some openness that happens, a shift. That pressure may not be so intense. It's that letting go so that you can bring in something new. But what's possible? right? We can focus a lot of our energy towards the what ifs that can feel negative and cause us to have this fear that grows, and then we stay stuck in that. And then this is where you can feel very stressed, and that can lead you towards that chronic stress. And then the first generic red flag of burnout, which is chronic exhaustion. But what's possible here? Give yourself that space. It might be helpful to write it out. Or you may just have something that comes up and you're like, yep, dude, I got it. Locked in. I know. Okay, let's now bring the awareness back down to the toes. Wiggle the toes. Get them wiggled. Wiggled out. There you go. Bring your awareness up the calves, inner thighs, stomach, chest. Raise arms up if you can. Head, and then swipe left. Get that energy out. Clear it now. Okay. So I want to come back to that pressure that you experienced. How you can imagine it is this balloon that's filling up with stress. And so relating to resentment, that can come up where the feelings could be in your jaw, tightening of your jaw, stomach. I know for me, with resentment, that connects to where I feel stress, which is on my left side of my stomach, where I can feel that pressure that comes up for me. But then, the pressure can move around a bit. It can go into different locations. But for me right now, that's where it's coming up. And how you can imagine it is that pressure balloon, but your body has a certain amount of capacity to handle these different pressure balloons. But it does have a limit to that capacity currently with the beliefs that are in the driver's seat of your life. And so if you aren't actively popping these balloons, is how you can think about it, having ways to release the stress out. That could be changing which beliefs are in the driver's seat of your life. That could be focused on habits that help to make you feel more energized rather than drained. But if you aren't doing that, eventually the body's going to be forced to have to release that stress in some way. And one of those ways is hitting burnout. And that comes with a lot of unnecessary pain and suffering that I wouldn't want anyone to have to experience. Because I go back to this quote where an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you can deal with it before hitting burnout and actively pop those pressure balloons, then the recovery you won't have to have so much time put into that recovery and have to experience that unnecessary suffering, which again, I would not want anyone to have to experience something like that. It was intense. And it comes back to recognizing with resentment, it's understanding where you're putting your energy, your focus and attention, because like attracts like. Thinking about this principle, it can relate to like law of attraction if you're familiar with that. And so if you're feeling that resentment coming up in the business, that can then move into other areas of your life, like with your relationships or your health and fitness, and vice versa. And so your life is interconnected in all these different areas. And it's really important to recognize that. And so if you're ignoring it or distracting yourself from dealing with that resentment, it's eventually going to come up in different forms. And I experienced that where I was ignoring my health, and then I was ignoring my relationships and not taking the space to focus on those. I was isolating myself. And that's where then more of these tornado thoughts can happen. And so when it comes back to resentment, it's remembering it's a signal from the body, right? There's nothing wrong with you. It's natural to experience this, I believe. Like you don't have to be like, oh shit, something's wrong with me. I'm feeling resentment. Like, no, it can come up. And so it's a signal that is trying to communicate to you when it comes to what to adapt on a habit level, or even deeper than that on a belief system level for yourself. And I think there's always, it's different for each person for the situation, but I believe there's a combination of the two there to focus on. And so it's for you getting the message and then focus on making the change, right? That's where resentment can be actually very helpful as a signal. It can help you to shift and adapt. And that's incredible in order to then make progress and to grow. And that's where you can move faster towards the results that you want. But if you stay stuck and you just ignore that, build that resentment and just builds, that's where I believe it doesn't serve you. If anything, it holds you back. And so again, relating to actually facing this resentment that does come with a price, or you think about it, a trade-off. Like you're going to have to tap into that courage within you to face this resentment. And that's where these questions can come up of like, how's it really helping me right now to move towards what I want? If that's a revenue, for the revenue goal for the month with this business, or if that's I think about it for me, like speaking opportunities. If they aren't coming fast enough, like really does this resentment help me to move forward? If anything, I can take the signal to make the changes to put out more outreach. Or even with relationships, if I have resentment in my relationships, what a hard conversation am I putting off? And so this is where you can have a habit that I think has been really helpful for me. And I think it could be absolutely beneficial for you. And that is, if you can do something in less than 5 minutes, it takes you less than 5 minutes, you feel like, to do something. If that's something as like replying back to a message from relating to either work or in your relationships, then do it. Because if you delay that small action, that can build resentment, right? Maybe it's dealing with something you have to, get done in the business in order to grow the business, but then you're delaying it because you might have this belief of like, I don't know, the doubt that can come up of, can I handle this growth that's happening? And that's where you can get into this like self-sabotage and the procrastination. And so then you build resentment to yourself of like, dude, come on, man, you can do this. Like, what the hell? Or you say other shit that can make you feel like shit. But that goes back to then the pressure balloon. Those pressure balloons can fill up more and more with stress. And I think back to where we're at here in Santa Barbara, and we're staying at a place that doesn't have a dishwasher. And so we're hand washing all these dishes. And when the dishes get left out for a while, it can be much harder to then wash off the food because it's stuck onto like the plate. And similarly, if you delay those actions, then it can become a lot harder to actually move towards what it is that you want, to bring that into reality. And so that's where this habit can be very helpful. But now it comes back to, okay, what can you make sure from like a sequence that you could focus on when the resentment builds? And that, how you can think about it is as like the resentment habit. Like that could be helpful for you. So first, it's figuring out, okay, where is it in the body? Just noticing where you feel that pressure is helpful, because the more you understand, the less fear grows. For relating back to your body, the more you understand your body, then you don't go down these like, oh man, like what's going on here? The uncertainty, because something that's uncertain for your nervous system, it can be taken as a perceived threat. And that's where you can feel that stress. And then you're adding more stress that can stack up over time and lead to chronic stress. And so understanding where that signal is will be important. Then it's, what is the message that this signal is communicating to me? So, man, notice that buildup of resentment, and I'll give you a simple example. I notice that buildup of resentment because I'm cleaning all these dishes, getting them done, but then I feel like I'm not getting help from my partner to clean these dishes. Okay, that means I've got to have a conversation about this. I got to communicate what's going on. Or relating to the business, man, I'm build this resentment because I'm putting all of this work into the business, but the results aren't coming through for what I want with the revenue goal. Well, am I really actually doing actions that are helping to move me closer to having revenue come into the business? Or am I just trying to distract myself or do stuff that really doesn't support that result? And that could be because I'm procrastinating, I'm actually pushing it off. But then it's time for me to focus and figure out the habit to help me to focus. And then underneath that, it's asking yourself, what is the belief system that's driving this right now? If I'm experiencing this resentment right now, what's the belief that I have about this? Oh, yeah, there's no way I can hit this revenue goal. Or there's like, my partner really doesn't care about me. Whatever that is. Okay, does that belief then serve me? That's something to ask yourself. Does that belief help me right now? Does that support me? And if it doesn't, it's remembering that you can change that belief that's in the driver's seat. Kick it on out. And this is where it comes back to creating a new belief that feels empowering and that you can put the reps in to help it to become familiar and to feel, you can think about it feeling safe with this belief. I know that might be weird if you're like, well, what do you mean by safe? But when something feels safe, then your nervous system doesn't respond as if it's a perceived threat. And so that's where then you don't feel stressed about it. And that's being familiar with something can help. I think back to, thinking back to even like going to like a summer camp as a kid. Like every summer I knew, okay, I'm going to go to camp. Once I got to camp, I felt way more relaxed. I felt like I could be myself. And so for me, it was like this belief of like, okay, camp is where I can feel safe and can feel like I can just be myself and people aren't going to like judge me. So similarly, you can take that into relating back to your body with these beliefs. And so what is that new empowering belief that you could write out? It could be simple as saying like, it's possible blank to start. Or you might have another one where it's like, I'm going to create an extraordinary experience for the people that I'm serving through this business. But then from there, it's asking yourself, what is the one or two habits that I can put the reps in that will help me to become familiar with this empowering belief, that can provide the evidence that this empowering belief exists. So if it's, creating an extraordinary experience for my clients, well, I'm going to take time each and every day as a habit to, during the work days, to focus on how do I make this experience better? Maybe it's just 5 minutes to get started. So that would be a habit that would support that new empowering belief. And how you can imagine it is a swing at the playground. You might have the belief that is been holding you back. And that's just imagining a broken swing where it's awkward and really chaotic, like swing forward with momentum and then just swing backwards. Because that's how the nervous system, how you can imagine it for the nervous system, is that with momentum, the nervous system wants to bring you back into balance. So you will have that moment of having to swing backwards. And that's where you can feel like you're getting off track. But its nervous system is basing that off of, how I believe it is basing it off of the beliefs that are in the driver's seat. And so when you add a new empowering belief, that process of working on becoming familiar with that new empowering belief is like holding both of your hands on the side, these two chains of the swing. And then you are feeling stable in that swing and you're moving forward with repetitions. And then you're naturally going to move backwards. And then after a certain point of putting in enough repetitions, you can then jump off the swing and then go on to the next broken swing for the beliefs, where you can either choose to focus on a different area of your life or upgrade that belief to one that feels even more empowering for you. But it all comes back to this principle of immense potential. Because when that resentment can clear in whatever area and the capacity can open up, then you've opened up that capacity within your body to experience more growth. And that can come back to the growth in the business, growth in your health and fitness, growth in your relationships. But it comes back to this limitless potential that is within us, that is waiting to be unlocked. You may have already unlocked it, but it's like tapping into it more. And so with this principle of immense potential, what it states is that we have more potential within us than we could ever develop in our lifetime. And so where true fulfillment comes in is being on the path of developing that potential. How I relate to that is by being on the path of growth, by growing, making progress, and recognizing that that's what life's about. That is where I feel fulfillment. And yes, I can have those moments of like, I'll rest at this level, whatever that is. But then I get to just go and explore more about myself or the business or relationships, growth. Like I don't have to rush to an end destination. I can just continue along that path. And that becomes a beautiful gift that you get to give yourself. That is where I've noticed I've had the most inner peace. And from there, it's being able to open up new doorways of possibilities for your life, for the different areas of your life, including the business. But if you haven't heard it yet today, what I want to let you know is that I believe in you. You have the capabilities to listen to your body, to master the skill of communication with your body, and then to adapt on the habit level, and then even deeper than that on a belief system level. You got this.